Good morning. It's a beautiful day here in Tasmania, and I thought I'd just make a little video, say hello. Thank you for all the great comments and encouragement and everyone that's viewed. My first video has gotten over 2.7K. Wow, that's amazing. So cool. Thank you. I guess I'll keep doing it. I guess I'll give you a little bit of history, how my family ended up becoming Jehovah's Witnesses. When my dad was a little boy, his mother studied with Jehovah's Witnesses, and I guess the lady that studied with him, she had a little girl who Dad thought they were playing, but I guess they were studying too. He figured out in later years. After about 3 years, his mother stopped. Dad always said it was because of family opposition. I'm sure if I chatted with my grandma, I'd find out more. But that's where the seeds were planted with my dad. My grandmother was a Methodist, and so she continued to be a Methodist even after she stopped studying. And when he was about 15, he recalled finding such hypocrisy in the church there and wanted nothing to do with it. So, fast forward a few years, his early 20s, in the early 1970s, and he was working with a man who was studying, and his wife was a Jehovah's Witness. And so my dad and my mom studied a bit then. He later related to me that that Jehovah's Witnesses were too perfect, and he could not achieve that. So he thought, no, I'm not going to go there. And by the time I was born, he decided they moved out to country, out in the middle of nowhere, called the Boonies in Iowa. And it wasn't again until he was unemployed in the early 1980s, I believe it was 1983, and he was at home when a pioneer couple stopped by, and they gave him the Live Forever book, and he pulled out his old green Bible from the early 1970s. It had been a table, it had been put up under the foot of a table to keep it from wobbling. So he pulled that out, and I guess he found some highlighters, because, oh my goodness, that Bible got highlighted to no end. He studied that book from front to back in 1 week. And he started studying, and we started going to the meetings. Mom started studying too, and he later related to me that he talked to the man that he was studying with about the paradise, and how he just wanted me, his little girl, to be a part of that, to be there. And that man, the brother, he said to him, he said to my dad, well, you're not, she's not going to get there unless you make changes and you embrace this and you get there, So my dad began to make a lot of changes, and they were changes, of course, for the better. For better his health. He stopped smoking eventually, and he tried to have a better positive outlook on life, and so that's how we started. It was 1983. I was 6 years old, and we stopped birthdays. We stopped holidays. I remember celebrating my birthday and holidays, but I was a good girl in the sense that I got along with my parents, and I believed them, and I thought, well, that's okay. That if that's what God expects of us, then that's okay. I didn't feel bad. I missed, the feeling you get when you get a bunch of presents at once. That was what I missed. It's like being showered with all the presents at once. That's something I really remember missing. But other than that, I never begrudged my parents. I never felt that I missed out because of the brainwashing saying, you're not missing out. And because, you get presents through the year. Well, I didn't get very many presents a year because we didn't have a lot of money. And I didn't get to see my family other than my parents and my brother much after that. That alienated my grandmother. She started getting closer at that time to her church and eventually became an ordained minister, which I'm glad she achieved that for herself. That's lovely. But that just alienated my family even further from my dad's family particularly. Yes, I don't think where else I want to go with this. Then, so as I grew, I remember being 10 years old, sitting on the bus going home from school, and thinking about paradise and whether I wanted to be there, or if it was worth giving up life in this world in the sense of doing things that you wanted to and feeling free. And I was questioning that. I was thinking, I think I'd rather just live my life here than wait for paradise. But that thought didn't last very long. By the time I was 11, I wanted to be baptized and dedicate my life to God. And that's what I did. So about 2 weeks before I turned 12, I was baptized in 1988 in Rochester, Minnesota. And what's interesting is I had to go through the questions twice. Yeah, for those who don't know, when you get baptized as Jehovah's Witness, you have to go through these long lists of questions, 3 sets of them with 3 different elders, alone. Holy crap. I look back thinking what a risk that was. I thankfully wasn't abused in any situation there, but I went through the questions twice because the first time round I went through them, but I hadn't been out in field service with any of the elders in our congregation, so they decided that, nope, you have to wait until you can go out in field service with us, and you'll have to go through the questions again. So I did. So yeah, that was that story. It wasn't until I was about 14 I started questioning things again, whether I wanted to be a Jehovah's Witness. And I stopped short when I realized that I was baptized and I could get disfellowshipped. I thought, well, I've been baptized, I gotta keep my word. So I didn't really explore that. I think if I'd been a little bit older when those thoughts came in my mind, when I was about 16 maybe, I might have been a little bit more, I might have acted on them more. I don't know. I really don't know. But by the time I was 16, I was back at it. I was wanting to pioneer. And so I made plans to graduate a year early from high school. And that's what I did. I graduated a year early. And that was so that I could pioneer earlier, because I was sick of being in school, having to deal with all that. And so I gave up a whole free year of schooling just so I could start pioneering, which I was never very successful at. I never got my time fully. The first year, you get 100 hours credit for the pioneer school. And then the subsequent years, 3 years later, the 3 years after that, I was never able to make my time fully. I was close sometimes, maybe within 100 hours, but I never made the 1,000 hours a year. The final year, I pulled off the pioneer list. Was when I decided that I just couldn't do it anymore. I wasn't able to put those hours in, and I think I was about 300 hours behind, and they tried to keep me on. I said, no, I'm not able to do it. So I'm not able to look forward and say I'm going to be able to, get out there and do this. It was too hard for me. So I thankfully gave that up. I always felt bad, felt guilty. Why can't I be good enough? Why can't I meet that expectation? I loved God, Why couldn't I get out there in the field service enough to show it, I guess? So through those years, I had a lot of depression and anxiety. Yeah. Anyhow. So fast forward to, I guess now or a couple of years ago, I woke up and I've told you that story. I guess that's all I have to say this morning. And I hope you've enjoyed that a bit. If not, that's okay too. I enjoyed making it. It kind of gets it out there. Gets me thinking about different things in the past. Anyhow, I love you all. You're all very special. And just keep putting one foot in front of the other, guys. Love you. Bye.